Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Sports Insight with your host Amnar Khan. And yes, as you know, we give you sports information from all across the globe. You guys can surely reach out to us on our social media handles, which is alphabet of Indus News Sports, that basically works for Twitter and Instagram. But anyways, we'll go to the headlines first. And yes, Pakistan versus Zimbabwe, the second T20, Zimbabwe managed to win the match by 19 runs. And from the world of golf, yes, Zurich Classic is underway, and John Ram and Ram Palmer actually managed to make a solid start on Thursday. And yes, from the world of Tokyo Olympics, Tokyo organizers report their first torch relay virus case. And yes, from the world of football, Leicester City trounced West Brom 3-0 on Thursday. And a very sad news from the world of basketball, Terence Clark passed away in a car accident at the age of 19. And yes, those were the headlines, and obviously we're talking about Pakistan versus Zimbabwe, the second T20, and as we all know, it was really shocking to see how the trickle-down effect of Pakistan cricket team happened. We were unable to even make a century, which is really sad. And to discuss all of this, obviously Zimbabwe won the match by 19 runs, and obviously it breaks a lot of people's hearts out there. But to discuss this, we have with us Mr. Fayaz, who has 10 years of cricket journalism experience, and he's also the media correspondent of Abu Dhabi's largest cricket club, Abu Dhabi Cricket Lads, for the last 5 years. Mr. Fayaz, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me in your show.
Great. So Fayaz, let's talk about the situation of how Pakistan lost to Zimbabwe on the second T20. Zimbabwe managed to score 118 for 9 in 20 overs, and Pakistan could not even reach a 100-digit number as a total. What's your take on the entire situation of the match?
I think this is a very shameful performance from Pakistani team, and as a fan of Pakistani cricket team, I'm very hurted today. But if we go through and we check the facts that why Pakistan lost this match, we have to know that there is many things, not only one factor, but there are many factors which are involved in this defeat. First of all, they are depending on Mohammad Rizwan and Bazam too much. And once Mohammad Rizwan is not scoring from his position, then Pakistan is in a very bad situation. And no, I think for Babar Azam, its time has to come to realize how to finish. Right. Before, when Zimbabwe came to Pakistan, that time we also have seen that that time Babar Azam even scored century, but he was not able to finish the match, and same thing happened today.
It's really alarming to see that Pakistan is still unable to beat Zimbabwe in their home ground. Yes, not to forget that we did manage to win in the series when Zimbabwe was visiting Pakistan. So it is pretty tricky. But how do you see the evolution of Pakistan cricket? Because it is the same team that actually managed to chase 200 plus runs against the Proteas in South Africa. And right now, they could not even compete for a 119 run chase and managed to score 99 all out.
Yeah, same thing I will agree that once Pakistan openers and top order performing, then it is easy for Pakistan team to score and they can chase anything. But once it come on the middle order, then totally middle order flop. Right. You can say that one example is Asif Ali. In last 5 matches, he scored only 20 odd runs, and I don't know why he is in the team. And Heather Ali, although we all say that Heather Ali is a good youngster batsman, but Heather Ali not performing since he scored only 2 50s at position of number 3.
I absolutely agree, because this was something that I discussed. And yes, Heather Ali being that youngster, I think it's about time we need to look at the idea of how Pakistan cricket team needs to make those changes. Heather Ali has been there, not been able to prove it, not been able to prove his worth as a new cricketer. I understand he did play well in the PSL, which is definitely a domestic league. But the point is, when it comes to him facing the international teams, he always has this situation of collapsing. So who is to be blamed? The point is, eventually we'll come up to the same conclusion. People will start talking on Twitter or on different mediums that we want to blame someone. So who is to be blamed? Is it on the management side or obviously on the captaincy side?
I think for me, it is only the selectors and team management who should be blamed, because if we talk about Asif Ali, then we have seen that in last 5 matches he scored only 20 odd runs. Then on which criteria he came in team? Once we have Sarfraz Ahmed with the team, why they did not utilize Sarfraz Ahmed in the team?
Right.
Why again and again Asif Ali in the team? Okay,
True.
he is good in local cricket, but
Right.
for me, he is not an international material. How
True.
many chances he needs? No.
True, absolutely. And I think someone needs to answer those questions, because obviously when it comes to international cricket, we talk about international. As you're mentioning Asif Ali, obviously we still have question marks for Haider Ali as well. Even though Haider Ali, in my personal opinion, obviously he's a brilliant batsman when it comes to the local leagues. But I think we've been noticing and we've been seeing Pakistan touring with Haider Ali, but he's unable to break that barrier. So how many chances do we give? And not only that, the point is, we are as a team, there comes a point instantaneously we just lose it. I mean, like losing to Zimbabwe in Zimbabwe is definitely critical for us, because we couldn't even as a team make 100 runs.
Yeah, I think it's a very shameful for the whole Pakistan and for Pakistani team that they are not even able to score 100 runs. A team who is at number 12 in ICC ranking, and Pakistan is at number 3 in ICC ranking.
Right.
But if I talk about Haider Ali, I think he is struggling with his position.
Right.
If we go back and we see his early matches, then he was batting at number 3. But
Right.
Once he came at number 5, he is definitely struggling. So Haider Ali has talent, but only talent is nothing. He has to deliver.
True.
So I think if they are thinking about the World Cup, then Haider Ali should come forward and he should perform. Otherwise, if they will play like this, then they will not even qualify for next round of World Cup.
I absolutely agree, and it's really, really alarming, not only for the team itself, but obviously for the management, and definitely all those who watch cricket on a very critical basis. I mean, like I do watch cricket on that basis. I'm sure you do, and a lot of people, because we are very enthusiastic when it comes to Pakistan performing. We still remember Babar Azam's super performance against the Proteas, but the point is, we just cannot come up to this point because we won the series against South Africans. And obviously the outfield here, because if you've noted, there were a lot of dot balls from our batsmen, and they were trying to hit and swing the bat, but it wasn't really happening for them.
Yeah, I think Pakistan is good when Pakistan's top order is performing. But once it come on middle order, then totally it's going wrong with Pakistan. Because in middle order, they are not getting a proper player who can finish the match.
Right.
Even Babar Azam, I think time has come to for Babar Azam to realize that how to finish the match. And
Right.
today, it was opportunity for him to talk those things, and he have to finish. But again, he was flopped to finish the match.
Right. Even if we look back, Fayaz, the first T20, if we talk about that, the first T20 against Zimbabwe, it was only Mohammad Rizwan who managed to have those digits, like he scored 82. But the rest of the team was like this. So are we going to continue seeing the team and the batting collapses, or will we surely be working on it? Because I think it's about time to address this agenda. Because if we look back into the situation in the long run, how can we compete in the World Cup if we're losing against Zimbabwe, like for instance today?
I think its time has come that they have to include Shoaib Malik in the team.
Right.
Because they need a proper batsman like Shoaib Malik in middle order who can rotate strike, who can hit big, and who can finish the match.
True.
But unfortunately, we don't have any other player like Shoaib Malik who can bowl, who can finish, and who can rotate the strike.
if we talk about Danish Aziz or Asif Ali, then okay, Danish Aziz is new in T20, but Asif Ali, I think it's enough.
True, true. But anyways, Faz, let's hope for the best. I think we'll surely conclude on a positive note that hopefully, the management does work on these changes, and we still have the next T20 coming up. So let's hope all goes well. Anyways, but thank you for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Pleasure.
much for inviting me.
Great. So that was Fayaz. Yes, he did talk about, obviously, being from the cricket journalism side. Of course, he was also talking a lot of question marks on the team and the management, the selectors, a lot of question marks on how can we bring that, clear off that trickle-down effect, which we always have, that we know once the openers are gone, the entire team collapses. Not only that, the last match that happened, obviously, Rizan was the only one who was sticking around to 82. Rest of the team actually collapsed within like the one-digit thing. But anyways, we'll still hope for the best. Anyways, what we'll do is we'll take a quick break, and once we take the break, we'll be back with a bit more information about the sports world. See you guys after the break. And yes, welcome back from the break. And yes, before the break, we were discussing the world of cricket. But as you all know, that we definitely talk about sports from all across the globe. So interestingly, we'll be focusing on golf for now. And to discuss golf, obviously, we're going to talk about Zurich Classic that's happening. Obviously, it started on Thursday. It's an interesting journey where like 80 different groups of people are like contending for the top-notch position. But, you know, we'll surely be discussing more of the insights about Zurich Classics with our golf analyst who's here from all the way from Uganda. He's basically from New Zealand. Mike Miller, thank you for being a part of the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Great. So, Mike, I'll start off with, obviously, as discussing Zurich Classic. So, what's your take on the situation right now in terms of golf? Obviously, Thursday, it doesn't really matter what happens on Thursday. What really matters is what actually happens on Sunday. But obviously, John Ram and Ryan Palmer are actually contending to keep their victory, which they had back in 2019. So, what's your take on the Zurich Classics?
Well, it's a teams event, as you mentioned, which sort of makes it a little bit different from most tournaments throughout the year. The favourite with the betting organisations around the world was the team of John Ram and Ryan Palmer,
right,
who won the last time this tournament was held in 2019.
Right.
And I'm just scrolling through the scoreboard now. They're sitting tied 16th, 3 shots out of the lead, which in this format is not a lot. So they certainly have a chance of defending their title.
Right. But obviously, when it comes to golf, it surely takes up a point because anything is possible. It doesn't really matter. Today, like for instance, even if you're lagging or behind the real score that you actually want to get to, I think everything happens truly on the last day of golf.
It really does. I've been a gambler on golf for more than 30 years, and I have a saying that any person or team within 6 strokes of the lead on Sunday has some chance of winning.
Right.
So, yeah, as you mentioned in the intro, it all really happens on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah, interesting. And what's your take on Victor Hovland and Christopher Ventura's? Obviously, to oppose, they combine 10 under 62. What's your take on that?
They're both tremendous players. Hovland, a very proven entity at the top level. Christopher Ventura has mostly been playing on the second-tier Corn Ferry Tour and has put in a couple of good performances there. I think the thing about them, apart from that they're both from Norway, the interesting thing about them is that they're both spectacular shot makers. So in a format like this, where for 2 of the 4 days they're playing what's known as foursomes, 4-ball, best ball, where both players tee off and then they choose the best shot, and then they play that ball for the rest of the hole on an alternate shot format. So this format is a little bit more forgiving and enables teams to go very, very low in terms of scoring. So when you have 2 spectacular shot makers like that, they're certainly in with a great chance.
Right. So obviously the format of this golf is comparatively different to the standard golf, obviously teaming up. So what exact is the format in terms of the team? How exactly do they manage? Is it an alternative shot or is it like the same person, continually scoring, both of them scoring, and simultaneously their scores are being measured?
They used two formats. I think on the first day they used what's known as foursomes, where both players tee off on every hole,
Right.
and then they choose one ball, and they play that ball alternate shot for the rest of that hole. Right. Then they go to the next hole, they both tee off again, choose the best ball, play that ball alternate shot. The other 2 days, the Friday and the Sunday, they play what's known as four ball, where both players play their own ball for the entire hole, and the best score between the two of them counts towards the team score.
Right. It's an interesting format, of course, on a standard scale, because, and I think this is the only tournament that actually happens with this format, or are there any further tournaments of this sort that actually happens in terms of golf?
On the PGA Tour, there are none in this format. It bears a little bit of similarity to some of the famous teams events, such as the Ryder Cup or the President's Cup.
Right.
And most tours, Europe, Japan, Korea, have one event of this style each year. I think just to break the tedium of 72 holes of stroke play every week.
Interesting. So there are different sorts of formats. One more thing I surely wanted to talk about. There was this announcement recently. The PGA Tour has actually announced $40 million for the top-notch golfers out there. So what's your take on that? Because it would surely give a lot of boost to the top 10 players. So how effective would it be for the youngsters? Let's take it that way, because I think they're the ones who actually need that push as well. So what's your take on this $40 million distribution that they've talked about?
It's interesting. From the big picture view, I see it as a strategic move to try and lock players into the current structure, because your viewers may or may not be aware that an organisation called, I think it was PGT, Professional Golf Tour, backed by Saudi oil money, announced last year that they were going to contract the top 48, I think it was, players in the world and have them play a series of tournaments with very huge money. So I think this 40 million is the PGA Tour releasing some of its fortune to try and lock in some of the top players. I haven't read right through all of the detail, but the cynics would say that the secondary and tertiary tours are the ones that really need some more money spread around them. The guys who are going to get this money are all millionaires, multi-millionaires already, and won't really change their lives.
True. One more thing, obviously we surely would want to give that push to those who actually, but if we look back a bit, if we talk about the Masters that actually took place on the 16th of April, I would want to have your final take on Hideki Matsuyama, who actually managed to win or clinch that Masters, because there were too many hot favorites in that tournament, but he, the first player from Japan, managed to grab that. So how did you feel about the Masters overall?
Well, I was exceptionally happy for Hideki, because he suffers from something that most male tournament players don't suffer from, and that is a huge amount of media attention from the Japanese media, right, and the expectation of a golf-mad nation, which Japan hasn't had a men's major winner, and I think it's only had one female major winner. So for a Japanese guy with all that pressure and expectation for many, many years on his shoulders to stay strong on Sunday against some very, very good players and in a tight finish was just fantastic. And I'm sure all golf fans would really be warmed by that victory.
Absolutely. Mike, thank you so very much for being a part of the show and discussing the world of golf with us. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So yes, so that's Mike, and obviously we're discussing the Zurich Classic, and not only that, we definitely talked about the PGA and obviously the announcement that PGA made for the top 10 players of $40 million that we discussed earlier as well. Not only that, of course, we did discuss the Masters, which actually happened, in which obviously Hideki managed to bring that position for himself, not only for himself, but obviously for his country, Japan, by winning that amazing tournament, because a lot of top-notch, top-tier players who were actually vouching to get that victory. But anyways, this was from the world of golf. We'll quickly jump over to the world of Olympics. Yes, it's an interesting journey with regards to the world of Olympics. We've been noticing and giving you information with regards to that there have been a lot of delays, but finally, obviously they have started it, and they've tried to make sure, besides the COVID-19 situation, it has been a very tragic situation all across the globe, but they decided to carry on with it, and they're still trying. But there are issues, yes. The first issue that recently came up is obviously the organizers report the first torch relay virus case, which means that the relay race in which you have to run and obviously pass on the relay. One of the individuals has been tested positive, and because of that, obviously it's going to be technically very hard. Not only that, one of the 30-year-old man who was obviously had taken part in that relay race has been tested positive. They're not really disclosing much information as yet, because obviously they're trying to prove, or because it's a big economical thing when it comes to hosting the Olympics. So it's going to be a lot of pressure for Japan. Let's hope they manage to do so. And obviously it was carried. The torch was also carried around the park near Osaka. But carrying that torch and then coming up to this point of getting hold of the information that there's a COVID case, it surely is going to be very, very serious. But anyways, let's hope things gonna shape up well for them. And obviously there were no spectators to go see them because they were all barred. They want to keep it closed environment stuff, but let's hope that the situation sorts out for them. Anyways, this was from the world of Olympics. I'll quickly jump over for a quick view on the world of football. Yes, Leicester City obviously is trying to make a comeback, and obviously won against West Brom 3-0, which surely is interesting. And James Vardy, Johnny Evans, and Iheanacho actually scored against them. So 3-0 is definitely nice, but obviously West Brom is currently at the 19th spot and Leicester City is at the 3rd spot. So we already kind of know where this would be going. But I think it's an interesting journey to see, because it's literally almost like the last leg, and every team in the Premier League is actually trying to struggle for the top 4. But I think Leicester City is surely making its mark, and let's see how things flow by for them in the future. This was from the world of football. I'll quickly jump over to the world of basketball. Yes, a very, very sad, tragic news. Former Kentucky Wildcat guard, actually a 19-year-old actually, passed away. Terrence Clark. He actually passed away, and he was in the car with his mother, and he died at the age of 19. He was listed at number 72 for the ESPN's top 100 best available prospects for the draft. He was supposed to join NBA, but it's so sad to see such young souls leaving us in that situation, and obviously he just couldn't make it. And he averaged like 9.6 points in 8 games in Kentucky the past season. He actually wanted to come up to that point, and he was one of the most biggest assets in terms of having this amazing sportsman, but unfortunately he died in that car accident, and his mother obviously survived. It's still very tragic news. May everybody get peace in that sort, and our condolences surely go out to him and his family. But anyways, this was pretty much it from the world of sports. If you guys want to reach out to us, you can on our social media handle, which is @Indus News Sports. Till then, take good care of yourself, and bye-bye.